If you're struggling to find the perfect gift for a maker or creative on your list, or maybe you're building your own wish list to share, or no judgment if you're buying for yourself, I'll be sharing a list of 15 tools and supplies that I nonstop use this year that would make awesome gifts for makers, and they'll actually be useful. Hey, and welcome to my channel. I'm Lena, and I share DIY tutorials and other creative hacks to help you level up your skills. And today, I'm trying to help you with this crazy gift-giving season. Here's the thing, makers are kind of hard to shop for, especially if you're not well-versed or knowledgeable in their craft, or what they're working on at the moment. And let's be honest, it could be many projects. We don't want generic craft kits, and we definitely don't want something that's not useful, taking up more space in our already limited workspace, workshop, craft room. You get it. What we do want are tools and supplies that actually help to solve problems or make our lives easier, like shortening build time, improving our accuracy, or saving space. So here are 15 tools and supplies that I personally reach for on a daily basis and would highly recommend for any maker. Let's get into it. First up on this list is a pair of flush cutters, or sometimes referred to as nippers. These are really useful for makers who are into 3D printing, electronics, jewelry making, or anyone who needs to trim or cut with precision. These are a basic pair I picked up on Amazon for less than 10 bucks. There are fancier ones out there with better ergonomic grip and tapered heads, but these generic ones have worked really well for what I use them for. Next up on this list is my Dremel. I'd been using the Dremel 4000, which my partner had lying around collecting dust, so I figured I'd put it to good use. Admittedly, the first Dremel I started using was the one I purchased to trim my dog's nails, but I'm very glad I had this one to pick up instead. I use this pretty much all the time for my woodworking projects and laser projects, as I use it to shape and sand everything. But you can use it for so much more, including cutting, grinding, polishing, you name it. So in addition to the tool, you can opt into purchasing different bits to diversify its use. Then there's the flex shaft attachment, and this is really useful for anyone who uses the Dremel for long extended periods of time. It helps you to get a better grip on the tool and helps your hand from cramping up and causing some serious carpal tunnel. I cannot tell you how useful utility carts can be. I started out with this one that has various drawer sizes to store all my tools and materials. Getting one with wheels is also really great for small spaces when you need to shift things around. I then picked up another one that I strictly use for my packaging materials, and my partner saw my awesome cart collection, then wanted his own for Christmas. Bonus gift ideas: if you add a label printer or these plastic organizing bins, it makes storing stuff like odds and ends even better. Now, for the makers who are also creators, I've been gifted numerous tripods for helping to create content, but my favorite this year has to be this hands-free neck mount. It makes getting those close-up shots of what you're working on nice and easy without the need to find a place to stick a tripod. This one's the clip-in, but they even have a MagSafe option now. So I'd highly recommend. Next up, we've got Posca Markers. These are acrylic paint markers that come in a variety of colors and tip sizes. These are their finest tipped markers, I believe, and they have really good coverage. I find that these help tremendously for a bunch of different projects. I've used them to paint wooden ornaments and pins, to creating designs on signs. But typically I reach for the black and white the most to touch up minor imperfections or paint chips on things that I've made. I will say that I wish they were a little larger and refillable, but I still think that they're worth it. A tool that I always keep nearby for laser cutting and engraving, 3D printing, and anytime designing a new project are my digital calipers. I mainly use them to accurately measure material thickness and in-between spaces. But there are also other functionalities for digital calipers that are very useful. They can take measurements in millimeters, inches, and fractional units. I got these off of Amazon for, I believe, less than $20, and it was a great investment. The next tool on this list was actually regifted to me by my partner. He already had a better multi-tool and had no use for this one, but I reach for it pretty often, especially when I'm working in my basement, and I also bring it along with me when I'm working conventions. A multi-tool is a nifty thing to have in your space. And when it's small enough, it's even better when it can fit in your pocket or on your tool belt. This one is a 12-in-1 and it comes with a mini hammer and nail puller, pliers and a wire cutter, knife, Phillips head, and some other functions. And because it has so many functions, that's why I'd recommend it as a good gift for any maker. Another great gift for makers, and something I've used a lot this year, is a self-healing cutting mat. Now this one is pretty small, but I still get a lot of use out of it. and I really wish I had an even larger one to fill my entire work table. I just haven't made the purchase yet because they can get pretty pricey. But hey, maybe Santa will come through this year. My partner and I fight over this one constantly whenever we're working on projects that involve cutting using an X-Acto knife or a box cutter, and even helping to get a better grip on something. We often use it when packing orders or when working on projects that involve electronics. Okay, you may be thinking, really? Glue? But hear me out. As a maker, you're constantly assembling things, and glue is a necessity. No one wants to buy glue, but it's one of those things you just have to have. The reason that this particular glue kit made my list is because of the set of tips it comes with. CA glue is notorious for drying out and eventually developing tips that are just unusable at some point. But this kit comes with several backup tips for when the original gets all crusty and gross, and micro tips for precision applications. I often always glue my fingers together, so having this extra bit of precision helps me to not do that. This kit was less than $20, so would highly recommend. Keeping up with the trend of sticky products that made this list would be UV resin. This pack came with 4 bottles of UV resin, and as you can see, I'm already down to my last one, so I'll likely be ordering more pretty soon. UV resin is great for quick touch-ups, small projects, and it even helps me with sealing projects to avoid air bubbles with my epoxy resin. UV resin needs a UV light to cure, so offering a full kit would be a nice gift. I started my resin journey with epoxy resin, and it took a while before I adopted UV resin into my materials, but I'm glad I eventually did. Now would be a great time to share that I'm not sponsored by any of these products mentioned in this list, and everything has been curated by trial and error and with my own money or gifted. With that said, I was able to get a 10% discount code to share with you if you should want to try this next one. I've tried a lot of epoxy resin brands, and it took me a lot of failed projects and wasted money to land on craft resin. I found it to be a great beginner-friendly epoxy to work with, and I originally bought it for its pumps to make it easy to measure out. I'm happy to say that the pumps are still going strong, and this is my 3rd batch of craft resin that I've gone through. It cures pretty quickly and has a really clear finish, so if your giftie is a resin maker or has wanted to try epoxy resin, I think this would be a great option. You can check in the description for that code. With all of that resin talk, I can't not have a mini torch lighter on this list. This was also a gift, and I use it each time I work on a resin project, whether that's UV or epoxy resin, specifically for removing any air bubbles. If your maker isn't into resin at all, a mini torch can also be useful for wood burning techniques, heat shrinking electronics, or a fun way to light some candles. This one can be refilled, has a safety lock, and can be adjusted using the slider on the back. Next up on our list, we have sanding sponges. Great for smoothing and finishing out projects. They come in a variety of grits. I also typically cover the firmer ones with other sandpaper grits to get a better hold if sanding by hand. I have a bunch of these lying around the garage and basement, but the one I want to call attention to the most is this foam sanding sponge. This one is super flexible and is really great for smoothing out awkward curves, for wooden shapes and things that you can't use with normal sandpaper or the firmer sponges. I make these weird slime shelf things, and it is really perfect for this project. These are low budget and can make great stocking stuffers. Needle files. Small, precise, and great for any maker. I have a set of these that I usually move from room to room, but should probably get a set for each space because I never know where I last left them. A needle file set is great to have to help get into small places that normal sandpaper and not even sanding sponges can reach. You can find some for around $10, with some sets including better handles for around $20. And last but not least, the tool that I definitely use the most this year, my xTool P2. This is my workhorse laser. It's powerful and responsible for pretty much everything that I made this year. Having added a laser to my tools has helped me to save time and allowed me to make projects that felt nearly impossible with just using a scroll saw alone. A laser cutter and engraver can open up another level of creativity for makers and crafters and could make an awesome gift, especially if the maker in your life has been eyeing one for a while. That's my full list of 15 maker tools and supplies that genuinely made a difference in projects that I've made this year. You can't go wrong with any of the things on this list, and remember, all the links are in the description, including the 10% off for the craft resin if your maker is into resining. And if they're not, they might just try it. Also, leave a comment. I want to know if you're gifting to someone or you're gifting to yourself, and if there's a tool that you would highly recommend for another maker that didn't make this list. And if you want more maker tips and gadgets and behind the scenes builds, don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, stay inspired.